We must ask ourselves, what kind of nation have we become, when the passing of a human being, regardless of political affiliation, is met with laughter, with mockery, and with celebration? The recent reactions from parts of the left to the death of Charlie Kirk have not only revealed the depth of political division in America, but also the moral decline that happens when hate replaces compassion. And let's be clear, this is not about whether you agreed with Charlie Kirk's politics. This is about basic decency. It's about the moral compass of our society. A man has died, and yet instead of showing dignity in disagreement, some chose cruelty. That moment of celebration over death should trouble every American, because if we can rejoice in the death of our opponents, then where does it stop? What kind of future are we building if we normalize celebrating death rather than cherishing life?
It is my great dishonor to be the person that says this and breaks this to you on television, but President Donald Trump is announcing on Truth Social, the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
The problem of mockery. Think about this. Charlie Kirk was a husband, a son, a friend to many. Agree with him or not, his life had value, his voice meant something to millions of people. Yet instead of mourning, or at the very least respecting the gravity of death, some chose to celebrate. They turned his passing into a punchline. That is not just political immaturity, it is moral bankruptcy. When you celebrate the death of another person simply because you disagreed with their politics, you are no longer standing for justice or progress, you are standing for hate. Mockery in the face of death doesn't just degrade the person being mocked, it degrades the society that tolerates it. It cheapens our humanity. If death is not sacred, if life itself no longer commands respect, then we lose one of the fundamental pillars of civilization. That is the road toward chaos, where people are not judged by the dignity of their lives, but by the intensity of partisan hatred.
If breaking news, Charlie Kirk was in the neck. And again, if you're one of those dipshit people that are like, no matter what happens, you should never wish death on someone, I'm gonna cheer and dance and sing.
Good night, Charlie Kirk. Forever! Some people have been whining and running their mouths, stating that no matter how we felt about him, we need to take death more seriously.
Haha, Charlie Kirk's dead. Good. He was a right-wing extremist.
He's dead. He's dead, y'all. Thank God. One down, couple more to go.
Why are you guys crying? He said it was worth it. He said that a few deaths were worth it in order to keep the amendments.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
You support a Nazi?
The media's role. But we cannot talk about this without addressing the media. For years, mainstream outlets, Hollywood elites, and cultural influencers have painted conservatives as villains. They've caricatured people like Charlie as dangerous, evil, and irredeemable. Is it any surprise, then, that young liberal minds, shaped by the constant drumbeat of media bias, now see no problem mocking his death? The media has a responsibility to inform, to inspire, and to elevate dialogue. Instead, too often, it has become a weapon of division, fanning the flames of hatred and radicalizing our youth into believing that political opponents are enemies rather than fellow Americans. This is not journalism. This is indoctrination. And it is tearing our nation apart. We must hold the media accountable. Words have power, and narratives shape reality. When the media repeatedly dehumanizes conservatives, it plants seeds of contempt that grow into outright hatred. And once hatred takes root, violence and cruelty are not far behind. The media cannot hide behind the First Amendment as a shield to poison public discourse. Freedom of the press is sacred, but with freedom comes responsibility. Without that responsibility, the press stops being a guardian of democracy and becomes a driver of division. The cost of division. We need to recognize the cost of this division. Every time we dehumanize one another, whether it's mocking Charlie's death or labeling all liberals as enemies, we weaken the very fabric of America. Division doesn't make us stronger, it makes us vulnerable. And our enemies, those abroad who wish to see America collapse, watch with satisfaction as we turn on each other. If we continue down this road, we will not need outside forces to destroy us, we will do it ourselves. And make no mistake, the cost of division is not just political. It shows up in our schools, where young people inherit the anger of adults instead of the wisdom of history. It shows up in our communities, where neighbors stop speaking to each other, not because of personal betrayal, but because of partisan labels. It shows up in families torn apart at the dinner table. Division is a disease, and if left untreated, it will consume this nation from the inside out. The call for unity. But here's the truth, we can do better. We must do better. Unity does not mean uniformity. We will never all agree, nor should we. But unity means remembering that even in our disagreements, we share something greater. We are Americans. We are bound by a constitution, by a shared history, by the blood and sacrifice of those who fought for our freedom. Moving forward requires forgiveness. Forgiveness for the anger, for the words spoken in hate, for the divisions that have poisoned our communities. Moving forward requires understanding. Understanding that our differences don't make us enemies, they make us diverse. And moving forward requires compassion, the ability to see the humanity in those we disagree with. Unity starts with us, everyday citizens, making a choice. A choice to disagree without dehumanizing. A choice to argue without hating. A choice to forgive without forgetting. If the left can celebrate the death of a conservative leader, then conservatives must rise above and show what true moral leadership looks like. Refusing to celebrate death, refusing to mock pain, and refusing to let hatred define us. That's how we break the cycle of division. That's how we heal. So today, I call not just for accountability from the media, not just for maturity from our political leaders, but for responsibility from each one of us. Let us not celebrate death, but celebrate life. Let us not sow hatred, but plant the seeds of respect. Let us hold our media accountable when they push division, and let us hold ourselves accountable for the words we choose and the way we treat one another. Because at the end of the day, we are not defined by our left or our right, we are defined by our shared destiny as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let us remember this, forgiveness is not weakness. Unity is not surrender. Understanding is not compromise. These are the strengths that make America what it is. If we choose division, we choose decline. But if we choose unity, compassion, and respect, then America's best days are not behind us. They are still ahead.